Hello, here we go. It's the Kopite podcast.
Hello everybody, welcome back to a live podcast special. I don't really want to do this, boys. I didn't think I'd be doing this at 7:15 on a Wednesday night, but I'm on the beer because I need a beer. I'm sure you boys out there need a beer as well. Mick's on the beer, Matt's on the cool ice water because he's about to put his body through the line when he goes play football in about an hour. We're here to do a Joe Gomez reaction special, or an injury special, or a defensive crisis special, or we're here to support you guys out there who are watching right now. If you're feeling vulnerable during this injury crisis time, please join us. Please join us in the comments below. Please let us know. Please talk to us and interact about what are your worries about injuries. Please let us know. And Matthew, I'll come to you first. How are you feeling this evening?
I want to cry. I was having such a good day, and then I got a message in my group chat from my cousin, who's also a Liverpool fan, and it was the photo of Gomez. I didn't open it straight away, and then a string of United supporters in that group chat, just all caps, going, "Fuck yeah!" And I was like, "Oh, what's happened here?" And then I opened it, and I was like, "Oh no!" And I don't know why, but I had a feeling it was going to be knee, and it is knee. And I don't want to tell you. You know what I'm thinking it's going to be as well, so I'm just not going to.
Well, that's it, Mick. I mean, we've just watched Gareth Southgate there say nothing. Let's be honest, there's been no confirmation. You know, he's just said he's not had a scan, so we can't see it. But obviously, the worrying thing is the fact that it happened when no one was around him. So that just. And one of the things that I took from Gareth Southgate and what he said was, I feel really sorry for him. My feelings go out to me. It goes out to him because of what he's been through over the last few years. And it's absolutely true because he's already suffered bad with knee injuries in the past. And if it is that, and the way Gareth Southgate has said that, it feels like, shit, this could be season ending.
Yeah, and he's, like you said, he's only 23, like he's still a kid, and he's had so many injuries, like you said, in the past. And this one, like Southgate said, no one's was around him. He's hoping and praying it's that long term. I just want to be put out of my misery. I want to know how bad it is, and obviously I don't know when scans will be done. I mean, it's during the international break. I mean, the one Trent got his, didn't he, and done it the day after. So I imagine tomorrow we'll probably find out maybe the extent of it, or the day after. It's just heartbreaking for him because we've lost. You can legislate for this, losing Van Dijk like that, then losing Matip, losing Fabinho, now losing Gomez. Obviously, Matip and Fabinho now will be back for the next game against Leicester, hopefully. So we're all right there, but it's just like you're 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's just you can't. I don't know what's going on, and it's just when people are saying we need to sign someone. It's all right saying that now that we've got all these injuries, but I imagine in January I imagine it'll be addressed if this injury to Gomez is going to be a lengthy one.
Yeah. Well, before we come on to like what we do in January, because we will cover that, and I'm keen to get both of your opinions on what we do, and obviously people that are watching, put in the comments and what you think. If you're not catching this live, obviously put it in the comments anyway. We'll reply to them, interact. I just want to chat about how there's a lot of stuff going around on social media every time a player gets injured, where it's a case of we should have bought this, we should have bought that. Everyone's been saying in the last hour or two that we should have bought a centre back in the summer. Whereas for me, if we had 4 centre backs as what our options were, didn't we, at the beginning? So like you said, Mick, you can't legislate for your main 2 centre backs getting injured the way they have been injured, and we wouldn't be in this position. But you can't say we should have been signing 2 or 3 centre backs because Lovren left because he didn't want to be 4th choice. And let's be honest, he's better than 4th choice for a lot of teams, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Plus he was on a high wage, so he had to be moved on. So you're not going to find a top class centre back that's willing to be 4th choice and be on a high wage, are you, Matt? And that's the point, isn't it? And you can't legislate, like Mick said, for these types of injuries.
I mean, if you look at a lot of teams in the Premier League, their 4th choice centre back is usually someone from the academy. So if that's the logic that we're going with, having Reece Williams and Nat Phillips there, that should be fine. Could we have signed someone? Would we have felt more secure signing a centre back? Yeah, of course. If you can replace Lovren with a world class centre back and have a world class centre back as your 4th choice, brilliant. Unlikely. And we can't be looking at this situation as if this was what we started the season with 3, if we count Matic, 3 of our starting centre-backs being cropped. Now, thankfully, Matip's fine for now. But yeah, it's not as simple as just fixing it in January, because I think I mentioned before we started, now everyone knows we need centre-backs and everyone knows we have money. So whoever we go for, whether he be Koulibaly or some random centre-back from League Two, it's going to cost a hell of a lot more than it would have, or than it's going to cost anyone else.
Yeah, no, Matt, you're spot on. Mick, I think the options to get a centre-back, I mean, it was already sort of confirmed that we was going to get a centre-back in January, wasn't it, when Van Dijk had suffered that unfortunate injury, and there's lots of pundits, including Jamie Carragher, that's come out and said we need to be shopping in January. But we had a look, didn't we, earlier, and the idea of getting a top-class centre-back to come in and replace Van Dijk is obviously, he's irreplaceable at the end of the day, but to get one that's close to his quality, not cup-tied in the Champions League, you know, that's going to be so important for us, because we need that body in the Champions League if we want to progress in that competition. Obviously, staying on the Champions League, Nat Phillips is not in the Champions League squad for the group stage, but they can reset the squad for the last 16 when we get there, so he can play in the Champions League in the quarters. In the last 16 and quarters and semis and the finals, so we'll be all right with it. But Mick, it does limit our options in January, doesn't it? And like you said, it is going to cost us 2 or 3 times more now.
Yeah, because like Matt said, you know, we're going to be in a scenario where we need someone, and they're going to go, right, well, there's an extra 10 million you need to give us for them. And it's like, there's so many options. Like up in Meccano, who I've watched for ages, and he's an absolute beast. He's going to, I think his clause is 40 million, but that's next summer, I think, apparently. Between 36 and 40 million, I think that's next summer. So I don't know who's going to be a viable option. I mean, when we spoke to David Lynch from, used to work at obviously the Evening Standard, and we spoke to James Pearce as well recently. They're both saying Klopp's not going to sign someone in January as a stopgap, which I still think will be the case. I imagine we'll go in January. Obviously, fingers crossed the Gomez injury isn't as bad. We will go in all guns blazing, I imagine, and we'll try and get someone who's going to come in and can make a claim for the first team spot. I mean, between Matip and Gomez, we've already said this on countless podcasts that you can't rely on either of them, which is a shame because they're both world class for me. It's just that we're going to need someone else in that position. Like Van Dijk doesn't get injured very often. It's just a shame that it's happened in this season. We're going to need to bolster ranks. We can't rely on 19-year-old Reece Williams, as good as he is and as good as he has been. Nat Phillips is a stopgap, really. 23 years old. He'll probably move on next summer, I imagine. But he's good for now in the short term. But it's going to be difficult, really difficult to sort that out in January.
Definitely. Well, Matt, if we look at the immediate future now, obviously, you said earlier about Matip being back now, touch wood, for a long period of time, and we've got Fabinho coming back. But Martin Barton has just put a comment in saying Henderson to play alongside Matip, in my opinion, with Phillips and Williams as standby. Fabinho in midfield to add protection to the back four. It's an interesting comment, basically because obviously we saw what we missed against City when the formation had changed. We lost out in midfield a little bit. Now we probably will revert back to the old formation going forward now. But if Klopp wants to try and test it, Fabinho would be a good option for the alternative formation. What do you make about Henderson playing alongside Matip? Because Henderson did it in the last December, didn't he? Debutised for at centre back in the World Cup, and he did quite well. Thoughts on that?
He did well, but I think Henderson brings a lot to our midfield. I think I'd flip it. I think I'd have Fabinho at the back with Henderson protecting. Henderson does a lot, like I said, for the midfielders, a lot for the team. He's a big leader with a big impact. He's all over the pitch, and he can't be all over the pitch if he's shackled to centre back. He can have that impact if he's defending the defence just ahead of them. And Fab defensively, we've seen, is a lot more solid. So I'd shift Fab back and put Henderson a bit further forward.
Fair enough. Mick, Ashley Williams is a free agent. Maybe not. But David Alaba, for me in January, is what Martin Barton says. Alaba's a name that's been thrown around quite a bit, hasn't it, really? And there's been quite a lot of talk about David Alaba. As soon as a player gets thrown out there and it's a name that everybody knows, people jump on it. And every right to as well, because he's a fantastic player, isn't he? But again, you don't. What do you do, mate? Do you go for him or not?
I don't know. It's like you said, January's it's always it's notoriously difficult to sign people. I mean, we've done well in it in the past with Van Dijk. We signed Coutinho. We signed Sturridge. So we're quite good at it. But it's like Matt said, doing it in a scenario where we need a player so desperately, like the Coutinho and Sturridge ones, we kind of got as a bargain. Really, it was kind of like we were giving them a platform. The Van Dijk one, that was like the worst kept secret in the world that everyone knew was going to sign eventually. We're going to reach a stage where it's like, well, everyone knows we need a centre back. We're going to be coming from the top centre backs in the world. Expect a bid. So it is going to be difficult. I mean, Ashley Williams can fuck off for a start, but I'd take Alaba in a heartbeat, because he would be, even if you played a back three him on the left of a back three would be top class. And I also agree with Matt about Martin's comment about playing Hendo at the back. I don't think I'd do that, to be honest, because you'd lose that energy. And I think Fabinho has proven that he can be a solid centre back, even probably one of the best in the league, which is mad to think that he's probably one of the best as a whole midfielder in the world. The fact that he's got that quality to go back into centre half, a position that he doesn't play in, and be one of the best in the league, just proves just how good he is. And I think that is probably the way forward, barring any injuries, which fingers crossed we don't get any more, because we can't fucking afford it.
I was going to say, Matt, just when you think, when Van Dijk had got injured against the Ev, we all thought, right, well, that's it. It's game over. We can't cope, and blah blah blah. People, you have that first panic, don't you? But then obviously as time goes on, you sort of settle and you go, well, so we've done really well without Van Dijk. We're still top of the league, we're top of the group in the Champions League, and we've done okay. But you think you're doing okay, and then Trent gets injured, and you think, right, well, it's at right back, so we might lose a little bit for a couple of weeks. There's 2 weeks worth of international break. Then he'll be back in training within a couple of weeks' time, and he'll be back in. But then you think, right, it's another setback, isn't it? And it's like, it's so deflating, and we're only in November of the season, and you just think, fuck, what would you say to people out there who are watching right now to try and just pick ourselves up and pick up the mood? Just like, we've got plenty of good players to cover this, haven't we? Or what would you say?
I'd say Thiago's coming back. But
who?
But I'm also a miserable little sod, so I'd say expect more injuries.
Well, fair enough.
Don't be saying that, Matthew. Fucking hell.
I think Klopp's press conference when we get back is going to be very interesting, because Morris Miller's a bit of a downer. Bloody hell.
Well, I was going to throw that one at Mick, but Morris Miller's just put in, we are in big trouble. We won't win the league now. No way. Maybe not even get fourth. I think, Morris, I hope you're okay, bud. I mean, this is what this group's for now. We're all coming together now to get through this injury crisis. So we're here for you, Morris. We're here. Talk to us about your problems, mate. We're here. So, yeah, if you don't, we're going to get fourth. But Mick, how'd you tackle that one? Are you agreeing with Morris there? We're not going to get fourth? It's panic. I understand where he's coming from in a way.
Yeah,
you don't agree with him?
I don't agree with you, Morris. Sorry, mate. It's easy to jump on the bandwagon and be like downhearted, which we all are. Obviously, we've done this podcast because Joe Gomez has got injured, and obviously we had something in the works with a Van Dijk one, which might be coming shortly, about a little therapy session for everyone involved to air their concerns.
Just hug yourself. Just hug yourself. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, in terms of going for the league, I still think we're all right. Like, if we need to wait for the extent of this injury to come out, really, we need to see how long he's out for. That'll
it's not good though, is it?
Yeah, it's not good, but that'll prompt us. Maybe will we sign two in January in terms of at a defensive midfielder and a centre back or two centre backs. We just need to know where we stand in terms of this injury. Then we can move forward. But like Matt said, Thiago's coming. Thiago will be back for Leicester. Fabinho will be back for Leicester. So I'm trying to be positive and put a positive spin on it, but I understand everyone wants to be doom and gloom because we're losing players left, right, and centre, and it's not good because we've been quite blessed in the recent history that most of our top players don't get injured, and we've been quite lucky in that respect. So I think if we ride this tide and we end up winning the league this season with the that we've lost, Jesus Christ, it's going to be. I don't even know what I'll do.
Oh, careful.
I'll celebrate. I'll celebrate more than next year than last year because of all the stuff that's gone before it and the fact that we've had to struggle and injuries have really stunted our progression in terms of the team being fluid, because that's what that Klopp team is. It's a fluid team. You rely on maybe 13, 14 players in majority. He doesn't usually use that many in terms of he wants a solid 11 with a couple of additions here and there, but we're having to rely on 19-year-old kids and 23-year-old centre-backs who've never played a game for the club, and they're coming in and having little games here and there. So it'll if we end up winning it this year, it's going to be positive.
Well, just keeping on the old positivity thing, because Morris has put another comment in, and he's put, well, I hope you are all right and feel positive. Maybe I should be like you, are all positive. I mean, again, there can be being too positive about everything and all that sort of stuff, you know. And Morris is absolutely right to be sceptical, because it's in the back of our minds and stuff like that. But one of the things that I do want to just say in terms of positivity is when we've had the likes of Nat Phillips debutise and when we have had Reece Williams play. You know, Nat Phillips got man of the match when he played, Matt, didn't he? And, you know, Reece Williams has done well in the Champions League. So immediately after the game, the comments flying around social media and the positivity is all there lifting because these players have done really, really well. And that's not saying that they can't continue to do that, is it? You know, even though we're saying that we might have to get 2 centre-backs. If it carries on between now and January, these players perform with Fabinho at the side of him, the experience, with Matip at the side of him, we can be okay. And just before you answer that question, Matt, Andy Lynch has just put a really good comment saying, still only see Liverpool and City as contenders for league. As long as Matip stays fit, we should be fine. And that's that experience I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take it one step further. I don't think Matip's the one that needs to stay fit. I think the one that needs to stay fit is Alisson. Because with him there, I think you could have, because let's not forget this, that, okay, maybe people hadn't heard of Nat Phillips, people haven't heard of Reece Williams, people haven't heard of Sepp Vandenberg, but at the end of the day, if they're playing for Liverpool, it's for a reason. They haven't got the experience and that used to playing in the system or in the back line, but if you've got Alisson there, then he can organise them and then just let the kids do what they need to do. Look at Eric Garcia, for example, at City. He's a kid and he's shown that he's capable. Sometimes these kids just need a chance. Trent was a nobody until he got forced in through injury, covering for Klein, and now look at him. I'm not saying that Phillips or Williams or Vandenberg are going to be the next Van Dijk, but they're pretty sure they're going to be capable enough to do a job. Now, hopefully Gomez will be all right. Unlikely. Yeah, I think we'll dip into the market, but we'll be okay.
I hope so.
Well, that's it, mate. And then there's other names being thrown around as well. So Brian Bonney said that we should go for Rudiger. Because obviously he's out sorts at Chelsea. Again, it's not a bad shout really in terms of getting that option. He knows he's not going to play. He's got Premiership experience, so that's a good shout. And then again, Brian's put Spurs and Leicester pictures on. Okay, and again, Morris Miller, if you're still watching, that's a really good comment because we've got the players there to cope with the running. And that's a really good point from Brian. If we can get to it's all about getting to January, isn't it, Mick, really?
Yeah, I think I counted before. I think there's 11 games from now until we play Southampton on the 2nd of Jan. So there's a lot of games there and they're tightly packed. And I think that's what brings on these injuries, because we're getting shorter and shorter in certain areas. We're having to rely on people a lot more than we usually would. Like Tsimikas was meant to come in to give Andy Robbo a rest. He's been injured. So Robbo's been playing every game. Trent's been playing every game. It's like we're playing, and I don't know if we've been riding our luck in terms of, like I said, like we've been fortunate in recent history to not get that many injuries, and now we're starting to get a couple. So we do need a bit more rotation maybe in certain games. I mean, it's hard to say because every game's a difficult game, so you want your best team out there, and we all know our best team pretty much 90% what the best team is. So it's just trying to find that fine balance between it. But we've got Leicester at home next game, obviously 21st November. We've got Atlanta at home, then we've got Brighton away, Ajax at home, Wolves at home, Midgetland away, Fulham away, Spurs at home, Palace away, West Brom at home, and Newcastle away. So there's a lot of tricky games there that we're going to need a lot of. There's going to be the rotation, like Ajax on the 1st of December at home, and then we've got Wolves 4 days later, then we've got Midgetland 4 days later away. It's like we're going to need like a lot of bodies in there, and the last thing we needed was an injury to Joe Gomez, and it's just like he was the one we were relying on to take that Van Dijk mantle, which is a shame in a way because he's such a young guy, and the injury record he's got. It is bad that he's quite susceptible to injuries, and he's such a talented player. It is a sad state of affairs, really.
It is, and I do feel for Joe Gomez. I mean, I remember a few years ago, I sat down with Joe Gomez. It's about 2016, the place where I used to work, and we sat down just chatting about his knee injury, and he was just saying like, I'm just glad to be back, and I never ever want to go through anything like that again. And you think, right, well, that's the point where he's going to kick on, and like we said, he has kicked on, and it's such a shame this. And I think one of the things is that we can say safely from a Champions League perspective is that we're practically qualified for that, haven't we? So we can sort of mess around and all that sort of stuff. It's not guaranteed, but like Brian's just said there, one more win in the Champions League can rest the main men, hopefully takes the pressure off the team. And he's absolutely spot on because, Mick, you just said there we need to save the bodies. And we're practically through in the Champions League anyway, touch wood, everything is okay. But Matt, the subject at the minute is the whole international break thing. I love that from the Council. Jamie Carragher had to come out of retirement. I'm all for Daniel Egger coming out of retirement, no problem. Absolutely. That's not a slight on Carragher, obviously, no problem, but I think he just loves Sky too much at the minute. But get them both back. Fuck it. Get them both back and throw them both in. Screw it. But Matt, what I was saying there is obviously Joe Gomez has been injured on international break, and given the pandemic and everything like that, I just can't believe that we're still playing international games at the minute. I can't fathom it. And it just argues that point again, why we're doing it.
I don't understand, especially, are these Euro qualifiers or the Nations League? If they're Nations League, this is even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just, you're keeping these players in these bubbles, right, for this pandemic thing, and then you're just shipping them on a flight to God knows what country. Our South Americans are flying even further away to Peru, to places that you don't know what's going on there. It doesn't seem smart to me, given the current circumstance, to be playing international football, to be splitting these players up and bring them back together and doing that again, because it just takes. What happened with Portugal? Ronaldo got the virus. A couple more players got the virus, and that's a few teams affected. Whereas if we just don't have international football, players are fine. It just doesn't.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
Isn't the Republic of Ireland game friendly as well?
Yeah. So the Republic of Ireland game tomorrow is a friendly, and then obviously Belgium on the 15th, and then you've got Iceland on the 18th, and then that completes that section of the Nations League. But again, it's the fucking Nations League, man. Do you know what I mean? Just the Euros has already been put back 12 months. Most of the teams have qualified for that. They're all boxed off, and obviously there's big games this week to complete that for the tournament next week. Shout out to Scotland. Fingers crossed. Everybody's got everything crossed for you for tomorrow. Really hope you get through again. A country that deserves to be at another major tournament for the first time in years. But it's pointless. It's absolutely fucking pointless. I just don't understand it. And again, we've lost out again. And it seems every fucking international duty at Liverpool is a player, and it's really fucking pissing me off now. I'm fucking sick. And is any wonder we say Liverpool, not England type phrases?
Yeah, exactly. Because you see players like Ronaldo starting for, I think Holland are playing today. Like, you want to be like, oh yeah, he's playing, but then you're like, actually, I'm not happy with this because what if he gets an injury? Like, it's selfish in a way, because obviously we can't stop them going to play for the country, and they're always very like patriotic about it. Like, they want to go and play for the country. Obviously, it's a good honour and stuff for them, and they love doing it. So you can't stop them, but it's just like, I'd scrap it all. I would. I'm honestly, I'd just go fuck it. You just can't have any of our players. Like Alex Ferguson used to be good at it, like not letting players go to certain games because he was like, oh yeah, I'm concerned about this this fella's left ankle. Can we keep him out of this one? It's like, well, maybe we need to start doing that just to get round it, because we can't afford, like, especially Gomez, like that was literally, like I said, the guy we were relying on, and now we're if he's out for a long time, we're going to struggle in terms of numbers, because we can't rely on like 19-year-old Reece Williams and, like I said, Nat Phillips, Fabinho, Matip. Like between them, it's going to be difficult. So yeah, I'd happily get rid of all international games if it was me.
Yeah, exactly. And Brian, bless him, has just said, lads, I'm from Ireland. This friendly is pointless. We are shite and haven't scored in 4 games. I feel for you there, mate. If that's the country that you support, obviously. But he makes a really good point, doesn't he? He's not even asked about it. He's like, why are we bothering? And then they've had a positive test, which is just I just don't get it, man. I really don't. And as long as we don't get any more, because have you noticed how we are coping defensively? Because again, going forward, we've been so good yet again, and that is obviously one of our biggest strengths of the side, and the reason why we've been so successful the last couple of years, Matt, is because our attack's so good. And again, we said this a couple of weeks on the pod, didn't we? In 13-14, our attack bailed our defence out so many times, and just going off the names and on paper and the experience, you would have to think that that's going to have to happen again. Was our defensive duties is going to have to start from attack, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and in a weird way, and I mean, I don't think this will happen, but it'd be great if it did. The fact that we're going to be so much weaker at the back, it might encourage teams to just come at us a bit more. Liverpool are always more dangerous when you're coming at us, because you might score, but if we win the ball back, you're kind of in a tricky spot with front three, especially if you add Thiago to that mix, and then our counter attack is a lot more quick, a lot more creative. So yeah, the attack's definitely gonna have to bail out the defense, you'd think. But hey, we've had our backs against the wall before, and no doubt that we'll do it again. There's a question I want to ask you though, Jay, because I've seen in the comments Morris Miller back again. Now, I don't think the free agent market is something we should be dipping into. Yeah. But if we did, who would you go for?
Well, I think the point that he's made there about Ezekiel is it's decent. It's a decent shout. I mean, he's 34 years of age, so it's like he's got that experience, he's got that pedigree, and he's done quite well for Valencia over the last 4 years. I think it was something like 90 odd appearances he got for Valencia. So again, I mean, I'll take anybody with experience on free. However, I don't want a Pellegrino situation like we had in 2005 when we got him, and it was just a complete waste of time. No disrespect to Kyrgiakos 10 years ago, but again, he wasn't the player that we needed. He was filling the gap, and all right, yeah, he had the odd good half an hour in a game and stuff like that, but he wasn't the player that we needed. And I don't want to just be signing someone for the sake of it, for the experience side, when maybe Williams and Phillips can step up. And maybe I'm thinking too much of the just settle for what we've got and the whole trusting Klopp thing, because he's got what he's got at the minute, and he was happy in the summer that he was happy with the 4 centre backs and then the lads underneath them as well. So I'm in the camp of Reece Williams has played really well in the Champions League, so I'll be happy to see him start, not shit myself like we maybe were. I'm more than happy to have Nat Phillips start a game again, because again, like Mick's pointed out, and obviously a couple of the comments said that the running's pretty decent. Nat Phillips got man of the match, so again, that's made us a little bit more comfortable with everything. I really want to go for someone in the summer who we think's absolutely spot on and right. And like Mick said, David Alaba, I would take him in a heartbeat because he's got that pedigree, he's got that experience, and he's still doing a really, really good job. It's the players that don't have clubs, and there's a reason why they don't have clubs. Do you know what I mean? And that's my worry from it. So you can look at it from so many angles, mate. And I'm just like, again, it's the whole stupid saying, you've got to take it game by game. Go on, Mick.
It doesn't make sense to sign Gary, like 34, isn't he? Like it in terms of if it's short term, it doesn't make sense, because if he's going to come in, like, I don't know, like it's not like a Clavan situation, or like you said, like Pellegrino or Kyrgiakos. If there's a time that FSG are going to go, right, we'll back Klopp now, it's going to be in January, when he knows we've lost our 2 first starters, Gomez and Van Dijk. We've got Matip and a centre midfielder, Fabinho, who's going to be filling in there most of the time, barring any injuries. If there's any time to go and back Klopp financially, it's going to be January. So I'm looking forward to January. I mean, I'm really sad for Joe Gomez, and obviously all the news coming out tonight from Gareth Southgate is it's not going to be good news tomorrow or in a couple of days we find out. But I'm excited to see we just need to get through these 11 games, and then we can see what's what at the end of it, because they're going to come thick and fast. And before you know it, it'll be January. Like it will, and we'll be like, where did them games go? It was the same last year when we had lower the games where everyone was saying this is where the titles won and lost, and we ended up winning them all. And I think I hope it's going to be something similar this year.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Go on, Matt, sorry.
I'd love us to sign Conor Cody. Love it. And not just
the show.
Not just because he's Scouse, and it would be like a good Ricky Lambert story, but in a weird way, he'd boost our attack because his passing is incredible. And if we can, because what we've lost with Van Dijk is, apart from a massive defender, is his ability to ping it. And if we can bring Conor Cody in, firstly, the player would want to come. He would want to come, especially if he's going to start. If we could get that back, it's the same thing with Trent on the right. You can't mark a right back. You definitely can't mark a centre back. And if he can ping it towards Mane or towards Salah, that's another weapon in our little attacking bow. So I'd take Alaba before Cody, but I think I'd take Cody before a whole of a lot of other players.
Mick, as soon as Matt mentioned his name, your face was a bit like, oh. So have you got a counter thing for that?
You know what? Because he came through the ranks, I'd love to see him back, but I'd feel guilty. Like he's had to move on. He's gone to Wolves. He's made a boss name for himself, doing really well there. He's going to be 28 in February. Would we
captain as well?
Yeah, and he's been boss. Like, to be fair, like Matt, like I agree with everything Matt said. Like crossfield passes, defensively, like going from a centre midfielder at Liverpool, coming through the ranks, going to centre back, and I didn't think he'd make a name for himself in the Premier League like he has. I thought he'd be down the leagues, if I'm being totally honest with you. I thought he'd be like Championship, League One, to be honest, because I thought what I'd seen of him, I didn't expect big things, but he's gone and made a name for himself as a centre back. I'd feel guilty signing him on the basis that, can you come in on a short-term basis? Once Van Dijk and Gomez are back next year, you won't really get a game. That's what I'd feel bad about. That's the only thing. And I would love him back. And it's like, it would be a nice little reunion in terms of him going away, learning his trade, coming back to Liverpool, and I'm making it. But it'd be I'd feel a bit guilty, to be honest, that taken away from Wolves and being captain there and being such a high-profile name there. And he's literally the first name on the team sheet for them, pretty much. So it's the one you can argue both ways. But I think an Alaba or something like that might be a nicer option for us long term, because Alaba could force his way into first team plans, and I don't know if Cody could force himself ahead of a Joe Gomez if they're both fully fit and firing. I don't think he's better than Joe Gomez, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Matt, what are you saying on that one? Back at you. In fact, I'm just going to switch it around because I don't want to get involved with you two, so I'm just going to let you two fire it up. So
I think
you know what I mean?
My only issue with Alaba is that he is like Bayern's main man at the back. That's what he's become. And they're not going to let him go halfway through a season. I doubt it, unless we're forking it out massively. I don't know. I mean, yeah, give me Conor Cody.
Mick, what have we got to say to that one?
You know what? If it happens, and if Klopp's decided that it's going to happen, I'd obviously support it 100%, because who am I to fucking question Jurgen Klopp's judgment at the end of the day? I've got none of us have got any right to at this moment in time, because he's always got it bang on, hasn't he? So if it happens, I don't want to sound too cliche. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But like literally that is it though. That is how you've got to be under Jurgen Klopp, because he's brought absolute wonders to this club, and you can't. You've just got to sit back and go, right, whatever he does is the best thing for us, because he knows.
Yeah, no, it's true. I love what what Brian just said now is Mickey Edwards will already be working behind the scenes, I can imagine. I guarantee probably after the Everton game, he was straight on the phone going, right, who we getting, what we saw, what do you want me to do? And I imagine, something's definitely in the works already.
We're going to get another Van Dijk-esque player signing a Christmas tree in the background before the windows even open. And we're going to be like, all right, okay, we're sorted now.
Yeah, and it'll be like, people might say, oh, it's Koulibaly for like £2 million because he's got it on such an amazing deal where, Mick said it's good. The price is going to inflate, so it's going to be an extra 10 million. Well, there you go. Do you want some Charlie Adam corners because they're worth 10 million? So have them as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One name we haven't mentioned yet, and I mean we touched on it, Jay, after the Ajax game, is Per. I think it's Per Shares. He's like a De Ligt like clone, and he played really well against us in that game, and I think he's under the name that I've seen bandied around in terms of signing him because he's only 20. He's 21 in a couple of weeks, so he could be an option. Like FSG love a obviously a younger model in terms of getting them in young and then maybe having the option.
We all do when we're married, mate. We all love the younger option when we're married. You know what I mean?
Now, is Becky not there now?
What? She's just walked in. Just apologise.
But yeah, someone like that would 21 soon. He's like, we can get him in, and he's not going to be a first choice instantly, but he can be up until the point that people come back, and then he'll be happy to settle for a lesser role with the option to get himself in the team in the future. That's maybe where we could go. Someone like that.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout. Andy Lynch has just said either one of the two Napoli centre-backs would be ideal just because they have a massive aerial presence, and trying to break them down last season was hard. So, Matt, before I even finished that sentence, you were like, no. So, Andy, just come on, mate. Let Matt know why when he comes back with this now. So go on, Matt. Tell Andy why not.
It just doesn't. It's just, I mean, would I take Koulibaly? Yeah. Is it going to happen? Hell no, it's not going to happen. It is too much money for a guy that's about to be 30. Like, it's just not the way that Klopp's done business. It's not the way that FSG has done business. And it's not something that I'm even going to...
Oh, hang on. How old's Thiago?
I was just going to say...
He's not going to cost you 70. He didn't cost 70 million.
Well, he should have done, but we got him bloody cheap, didn't we?
But we're definitely...
Go on, carry on, mate. Carry on.
Would Koulibaly at Liverpool excite me? Yes. Am I going to allow myself to get excited about the rumour? No.
Nice and concise there. Nice one.
So Andy's come back there, mate. Yours is Cody. His is Manolis. He thinks Manolis wins all day. So what about that?
I mean, Cody's passing beats Manolis all day. So, and Manolis he's been in Roma for a while. He played at Olympiacos and Roma. Now he's at Napoli. He hasn't really been given a massive club. Like, do you really rate him, or are you rating him off of what FIFA gives him?
Oh, you
careful.
No shouts on YouTube, Matt.
I need a beer if we're going to be doing that shit. You can't be doing them shouts, lads. You can't be calling FIFA players out because shit goes turbo.
Right. So
think of what happened to me. You can't be doing that. But Andy's right though. You'd rather not have a leaky defence. Do you know what I mean? You'd rather not have a leaky defence.
I don't think it'd be leaky with Cody.
True. But Brian's just said, imagine Thiago doing a Mascherano at Barca. It's a shout and a half that. I don't think it happened because we'd missing too much in midfield, but yeah, I think it's one of the things. But Ian's just said one of the Brighton boys. Again, it's a shout, but again, those boys were talked about in the summer, and they're not going to leave Brighton midway through the season. And if they did, whatever the price was, plus they're English, they got that passport, and then they know we need players. So again, I can't see that happen.
Well, James Pearce did me that not long ago, and I asked him. Well, you asked him about Ben White, and it was like, well, they were asking for too much money. So they were asking too much money then. They're going to ask for even more money now. So it's like, I understand where the links came from, because when you watch him, he looks really good on the ball, like Gomez, like carrying it forward, good passer, strong, pretty. I get that, but then maybe are we just going to have to fork out and just go, right, fuck it, we're going to have to pay whatever people ask to get someone in who's going to fit the model and is a prospect for the future as well. I think we're probably going to have to.
This is it, mate. But don't forget, again, I think you're spot on there. I think we're just going to pay what we need to survive. And we're just going to have to go, is that the asking price? Yeah, fine. Now, flashback to 2011, and Fernando Torres is leaving on the last day of the transfer window. They know we've got 50 million quid, Newcastle. We wanted Andy Carroll, who was arguably the best English striker in the league at the time. And I'm putting at the time. And if I could edit this, I'd put at the time, so I don't get stung with a clip again. But Newcastle knew we had 50 million in the bank because of the Torres money, and the 35 million for Andy Carroll absolutely just didn't work, did it? And this is the problem we've got: is people know we've got money, people know we're desperate for this player. There's such a massive risk, and I feel so sorry for whoever that player is.
I think though, like, that's a different time now, isn't it? Like, in terms of, if we overpay now, Klopp and Michael Edwards, who's an absolute genius, will have put all that work in to know that this is a player we might sign in the future anyway. If we have to pay a 20 million premium to get him to fast track 2 years, like, you don't have to hear what he said about what people have been saying about like Diego Jota. He's been scouted for like 3-4 years. It's only like we've got to a point where we're like, now we want to integrate him into the team because he's reached that age where he can. Maybe we're going to do that a bit earlier in terms of getting someone in who's on the massive list of defenders that we probably got in the spreadsheet that we might sign in the future. Fast track that a year or two, get them in now, and use them with the option that they know they're going to go out the team and then come back in once everyone's back and fit and then ready for the future.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Matt, do you agree with Mick on that one?
Yeah, I'd like to say first, if we do sign Manolas or Koulibaly, Andy, I'll buy that kit and I'll wear it with their name. It's not going to happen, but I don't mind saying that. Yeah,
Andy's like, all right, yeah, don't come out of my pocket, mate. What sounds?
I'll buy you one, Andy. No, I won't.
Said it now, mate.
Yeah.
Messages on Twitter, Andy. We'll sort you out with that shit.
Yeah. We'll have scouted players that we want for the future, and it is more of a Liverpool Klopp thing to just go, all right, we're going to buy you anyway, like Mick said. Let's have you now and pay a bit extra than wait because we need you.
It's a good point. It is a good point. It's such a mind fucking it, boys, because I've never known, as a Liverpool supporter for 35 years, I've never ever known a crisis like this, and to happen in such quick succession and to just completely dog us. And on the flip side to it, we were still top of league at a point, a point away from the minute, top of the Champions League. It doesn't feel like it's thingy, but again, it's like just pray to God we keep Matt said earlier, keep Alisson fit, Mike, because if you've noticed when Alisson's playing now, he's coming for a lot more crosses. He's coming to punch the ball away a little bit. He's coming further than his 6-yard area because he knows with Van Dijk not in that sort of square foot, he knows he's got to command that a little bit more. And I think what Matt said was spot on, is you've got Alisson there at the back because you're more relaxed then, and then the centre-backs know I've got him behind me, so I'm okay.
Yeah, he's literally the perfect sweeper keeper. And I think I read the interview last week. I don't know who it was, but it said like Reece Williams went to Alisson and said like, make sure you're speaking to me at all times, telling me what to do, moving me around. It's that communication that you don't get with Adrian, who's a good keeper, but he's like, if we lost, like Matt said, if we lost Alisson, it would be at this point in time, it would be absolutely catastrophic in terms of Adrian. And then possibly Fabinho and a young guy at the back. Then Fabinho missing in midfield. It's a whole domino effect, and it'll affect the whole team. And it's difficult that we're probably concede a lot more goals. We're already conceding goals. We'll then need to score a lot more goals, and then you get into 13-14 season where it's just not sustainable to go, right, you score 3, we're going to score 4, and it's That's when you get into the bit where it's like you need your attackers to be on form all the times. So I don't know. We just need let's just have a little prayer that we keep Alisson fit, shall we? I mean, Alisson said last week he prays a lot, so pray for you, lad. I pray for you.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon as an atheist. I'll jump on that bandwagon. Just before we finish, I just want to sum up between the two of you now. So, Matt, I'll come to you first. We did this reaction show because obviously everyone's feeling the curse, as our friend Dave has said, that the curse has struck again. Excuse my crap English there. I think we're all feeling it at the minute, and we want to make sure that we're all being supportive of each other in terms of mood and keeping that sort of mood uplift. We don't want anybody being really disappointed with the football week in, week out, and dreading it, especially during the times that we have. I know I'm getting a bit too emotional on that one, but it's important that we say that. But Matt, how are you feeling now that I think we're going to have to accept that Gomez is going to be out for a while? Confidence from a percentage-wise for both of you. Matt, how confident are you that will be okay going into January transfer market?
Oh, 100%.
Are we still going to be up there?
Yeah, we'll be fine. 100% we'll be fine. There's a reason, like I said, the reason these kids are at Liverpool in the first place. At the moment, we've got Matip and Fab at the back. Phillips has done a job. Williams has done a job. We'll be all right.
Cool. I'm good with that, 100%. Michael, what are you feeling going into the transfer market in a couple of months?
Yeah, you know what? Now that I'm looking at the games I mentioned earlier that we've got between now and January, when you look at it, so we've got Leicester at home, obviously a big game. Wolves at home, another tricky game. Spurs at home. The rest that are away, it's still tricky, but we've got quite a lot of the difficult ones out the way at the moment. So it's like in a way, it's favoured us in that regard. Obviously, the injuries haven't fucking favoured us because we're on death's door here. But in terms of the away games like Fulham, Newcastle, Brighton, Palace, obviously that's a tricky one. But those are the three. Like we said, whatever team we put out there, we should still be winning, like Joe Gomez or not. So it's in terms of going into January, I think we'll be all right. Like as long as we're within a couple of points, like second or third, whatever, then we can get the cogs where in terms of who we're gonna maybe sign, and probably Klopp will do an absolute Jurgen Klopp and not sign anyone and just absolutely blow us out the water, and we'll all be like, where's Manolas?
Fair enough. Well, listen, that's just flown by, boys. It's 47 minutes there. We've covered so much. And listen, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody in the comments that has joined us tonight, because it's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed that, gents. I don't know about you. So big shout out to Martin Barton for his comments. Thanks to Maurice Miller. We appreciate that, mate. Andy Lynch, we appreciate that as well. Obviously, if that does happen, we will sort you out with a shirt, and we will charge Matt for it as well. But Matt can probably claim it back on his expenses. That's absolutely no problem. Andy Lynch, again, appreciate your comments, mate. We really do. Thank you so much, mate, for joining us. Maurice, again, brilliant stuff, pal. Brian, forget about tomorrow, mate. It really, really doesn't matter. We're not bothered, so we'll just have a chat. Join us on Twitter when we watch the crap internationals tomorrow. So yeah, Ian Thompson, big shout out to you as well, mate. And obviously, last but not least, we've got Gamerborn as well. He's a big fan of the channel. He makes some quality stuff for Liverpool. Mate. You need to follow him on Twitter at brilliant. And then we've obviously got Dave LFC Chats as well. He's one of our favourite people on the show. A good friend of the show, rants a lot on his videos, and absolutely fantastic as well. But yeah, like Brian says, to finish on, if we get through till January still being top two, it'd be unreal. That's the positivity that we want. That's what we need, boys and girls. And that's us for the Kopite. I am Jay. I have been joined by Matt. I have been joined by Mick, as per usual. Us three will be back with more content during the international break. Thank you very much for watching. This has been the longest outro ever. Love you. I'm having another beer. See you all next time.